Welcome in. This is your Jock Market Power Hour for this week's RBC Heritage. I'm Rick Gaiman, that right there. Joe Idonian. Joe, welcome. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, man. Post Masters week. Hope everyone had an enjoyable Masters. It was the biggest market I believe we've ever seen in Jock Market. They had a ton of awesome giveaways. I believe they announced those winners all on Monday. It was fun. How was your week?
Yeah, it was good. Obviously, it is. I actually think I did a better job this year of not having like the major championship hangover and just getting on to the next week. But yeah, you're right. It was talk to the boys over at Jock Market. That was their largest PGA market ever. I think it rivaled some of the NFL markets, as you can imagine. Football always being king, but the PGA guys showed up last week.
Absolutely, yeah. So they had the most shares available during IPO ever. And I believe someone pointed out in the chat either once or twice they actually were getting so many bids in that they added more active shares. So a ton was out there, a ton back out there tonight. Hopefully everyone was able to build up a little bit of bankroll, roll it right into this week.
All right. So if you're just tuning in for the first time, welcome. This is Stock Market DFS on the Jock Market. For the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to be bidding on shares of golfers. And then if you are one of the high bidders, by the time this thing closes a couple minutes before 9 p.m. Eastern time, those shares are allocated to you. The code you're looking for to sign up, POWER. If you would like to win Jock Bucks, and Joe, we gave away 500 last week. We're not going to give away that much tonight, but if you want to win some Jock Bucks, make sure your Jock Market username is in the chat right now. I do already know some of the guys who won last week reached out and were like, yeah, I've already like tripled it, which is always good to hear.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. How'd you do last week?
So what did I end up with? I think I ended up with what? Zalatoris, Cam Young. Yep. So Cam Young missed the cut. I had Xander that missed the cut. I think I had Zalatoris, and I can't remember my fourth guy. I lost like probably 10%. The Xander miscut was troublesome.
Yeah, there were a couple of big names missed the cut. I had Brooks in there. Luckily, I had a pretty good week because I think I had 6 out of 9 inside the top 30. So a couple of my cheap ones like Willett and Swafford really came through. I think Swafford was like 37th. Willett obviously made a nice little run. So yeah, didn't nail the winner, didn't get second, didn't get third, but was still able to return a nice profit. And it's always nice that the friendly folks over at Jock Market are willing to refund your money right back when you get stuck with Paul Casey shares.
It's the only place in the world, where that happens. I love it. Here's the market from last week. So Scotty Scheffler went for $855, Joe. He was the, let's see, third most expensive golfer behind Jon Rahm and Justin Thomas. He was kind of in that tier of his own. $25 a share payout for first, $16 in profit. But Cam Smith, Rory McIlroy, they were some big gainers as well. So 3 of the top 5 most expensive golfers from last week did a pretty darn good job.
Yeah, 3 of the top 5, more than doubled your money. So you did great there if you picked the right ones up top. And as you see there, a lot of guys in that sort of mid to lower tier were, in that $4 or $5 range, which we typically see a lot of the, a lot of the big movers come from. Scotty's just on a crazy run right now. Same with Cam Smith, even you could say. So I feel when I look back at that week, I feel like I overlooked. It was staring me right in the face, and I kind of overthought things a little bit too much. And I should have just probably taken the guys who are superstars who are also playing the best. It was kind of as simple as that, wasn't it?
It seemed to be. The 2 hottest guys on the planet finished first and second. Or I guess Rory finished second, but you know what I mean with Cam Smith.
Yes, yeah.
Mixed the entire time. The big movers, ROI, Schwartzel was $1.75 last week. Wow. Paid out $10 a share. Cam Champ was $2.70, went to $10.50. Minwoo Lee $1.55, went to $6. Danny Willett, as you mentioned, he was in your portfolio. $2.44, went to $9 a share. So there were some big movers as well.
Yeah, Cam Champ seems like a guy you just got to play at the Masters. Got to remember that one as well. And Minwoo Lee had quite an impressive week. Was it Saturday or Sunday that he went off on the front nine? Was that Sunday early?
I want to say it was Saturday.
Yeah, he was fun, man. He's a fun player, but kind of reminds me of Cam Champ. Just goes out there and hammers driver super far everywhere.
He went out in 30. He went out in 30. And
Yeah, I think he set the record for the front nine, or tied the record for the front nine. It was
then he
nuts.
looked, and then I think he saw a leaderboard and went, "Holy crap! I just went out in 30 at the Masters. Bogey, bogey, bogey,
Bogey,
bogey."
bogey, bogey. Absolutely. That's how it rolls. You know it.
Our boys are getting tax forms. How about that? I got a tax form from Bid Ventures. Yeah, if you get a tax form from Bid Ventures, that's Jock Market. You should include that in your tax return. So good to see. You only get a tax form, Joe, if you're a winner. So good to see the boys in the chat getting some tax forms.
And a big winner, I think. You have to, it's not like you win a couple bucks. I think there's a certain threshold. So congrats to you, JG Funk. I know that pain. I've been there before, coming off of a big ticket win. But at the end of the day, you just stash a little bit of those winnings away and it's all good.
It is a gift and a curse to get a tax form from a fantasy site, because it means you got to pay taxes, but you made enough to do so. So good and bad there. All right. Oh, one thing I wanted to point out, RickRunGood.com. I made a couple of tweaks to the tools over here, Joe, where now there is the leaderboard. So now you can see like I have this for last 10 starts. So you can look for everybody in this field, last 10 starts, average ROI, average profit, et cetera, et cetera. So you can see, for example, in everybody's last 10 starts, Sepp Straka has the best average ROI, $2.71 to $6.47, and he's cashed in 70% of his markets. Compare that with Anirban Lahiri, who has a similar ROI, Joe, but only 30% of his markets he's turned you a profit, which means two really, really big ones in there.
So I have this up actually right now on my other screen. I've been digging through this pretty much all day. You did an incredible job with this. And I got to say, dude, I follow a couple people who do like NFL jock market stuff because I was big into that. My brother's in a couple other sports. No one has data like this available that's completely 100% free on RickRunGood.com. If you guys are in this chat right now and not taking advantage of all this information at your fingertips, you're missing out. Yep, right there, scroll up. Jock Market free tools. You can look at player histories. You can do the profiles. Like all this stuff is great, and you've made a ton of improvements. So kudos to you, buddy.
Yeah, I appreciate it. All right, so let's jump into this a little bit here. RBC Heritage. We'll get to our bullish or bearish segment in just 1 second, but it's a unique course. We're headed to Hilton Head. We're going to Harbor Town. It's a staple on the schedule, and it is one that I believe allows a lot of different guys to win, Joe.
Yeah. Totally. We've seen guys that come into this event near or at the favorites market. We've seen long shots hit here. Shorter, as you mentioned, I believe it's like right around 7,100 yards. I also believe it's maybe the smallest greens on tour, if not one of the smallest greens on tour. So just demands accuracy. It demands tactical type players, demands a little bit of around the green game. I think there's a lot of guys in the field which are live this week. We do have a great field of superstars at the top, but I think there's a lot of guys that you can seemingly make a case for moving your way down the board this week.
When you have an event where there's a lot more guys who are live, and so I'll compare this to my outright card for this week. I probably bet more guys this week than I have in a long time because they're basically all long shots. The last time I did that was the American Express, just a lot of long shots. Do you find your jock market portfolio mirroring that? Like, do you end up having more guys because you think more guys are live?
I usually do, although I think that way as well. So in these type of events, I tend to develop my betting card around that similar strategy. However, like in jock market, like if everyone has that strategy, sometimes you just got to zig. So if everyone has that sort of same mold of I'm going to scoop up everyone for $2, $3, $4, you may get a discount on Dustin Johnson. You may get a discount on Colin Morikawa that I'm sort of willing to take. So it's a little bit different. I think that you made a great point earlier this week on your podcast of talking about how a lot of these guys, the way that these par fours are set up, everyone kind of ends up in the same collection spot, right? Within 15 yards of each other for their approach shot. What like jumped out to me is it basically turns that hole into a par 3 hole. You know what I'm saying? So instead of these guys, these DJs and these guys with a massive advantage off the tee where they're playing from 50 yards closer to the green, it's basically turns it into another 10 par threes on the course because they're all playing from roughly 175 yards. And it just comes down to who's the best approach player. And it really, really levels the playing field for guys who may only hit it 285, 290 off the tee.
Yeah, the Brian Stewarts of the world, the Satoshi Kodairas of the world, the CT Pans of the world are much more live here than most places. Okay, let's go to bullish or bearish. This is our opportunity to look at 4 different golfers. And if there's someone else you want us to look at, throw it in the chat right now. And we're going to take a stand on them. We're either going to be bullish or bearish, and we're going to use their fair value price for this evening. So, Joe, let's start the bottom, work our way up. Let's go the opposite direction. Ian Poulter. $4.94 a share. That's the fair value for tonight. Essentially asking him to finish 34th or better. Are you bullish or bearish on Ian Poulter?
I'm going to be bearish on Poulter. I just don't feel like the form coming in is significant enough for me to sort of get behind him. A couple of pops in there. I'm looking now at like his last 12 starts. Minus 4% isn't a huge loss. You see there -7 on yours, looking a little bit shorter term just in events this season alone. But yeah, I'm going to take a bearish stance on him this week. What about you, bud?
Yeah, so here's his last 12 that you were referring to, minus 4.3%. I mean, he's almost a break-even player. I think that I'm going to be a little bit bullish here because this is, he's a break-even player, but when you get to probably one of the better spots for him, I think I'm a little bit more excited. I just think there's so many spots on the PGA Tour calendar that are not good spots for Poulter. Just like 80% of them are not. And I think this is one of them that is. So I think it's actually harder to handicap some of these guys like Poulter, like Brian Stewart, like, these shorter hitters that I mentioned, just because a lot of their stats are coming from places that don't set up well for them.
Yeah, totally. I got a question for you. So he was one of the names, interestingly, yesterday or earlier today that have committed to the Live Golf or the Saudi Tour. Do you know when their projected start date is on that? Like how many PGA Tour starts has he got left in him?
When they released the schedule, I think they were starting in June. So they've got 3 months. Now, I don't know what's going to happen if this becomes official and Ian Poulter says, okay, see you later, PGA Tour. If Jay just says, all right, well, you're not playing anything else before you go. I'm not
don't let the door hit you on the way out.
It's like you give your 2 weeks notice and the guy's like, no, pack your box up right now and go. So I don't know. I imagine, I imagine they're going to play as long as they can. They want as many cracks at it as they can get, but June is when they're starting, I believe.
Cool.
All right, so bearish for Joe, bullish for me on Ian Poulter. How about Denny McCarthy? $5.79, Joe, per share. That is the fair value we're going to use for this. 29th place for Denny McCarthy.
Yeah, you know what? The price was a little bit higher in terms of a fair value projection than I initially thought it was going to be. However, I'm still going to say bullish. The guy's playing great. I looked at his last 12. He's made 11 out of 12 cuts. He's got 5 top 15s in there. He is averaging 52.9% ROI, which is great for Denny. The average IPO price in that range is $436, so we're a little bit higher than that this week. That said, I think it's a great setup in terms of a course for him. He's been seeing improvements in the off the tee and approach game, and the hope is what it always kind of is with Denny is that you find him on a week where his approach and off the tee numbers are about field average, and he gains 5 strokes putting, which he's still one of the best players in the world at. More of a well-rounded player in this point of his career than I think we've seen him in the past. He's in good form. I'm going to say bullish.
I think I will too. I'm pretty impressed by this. A 52% ROI. He's 6 markets in which he has made your profit, 6 in which he has not. But when he does play well, you get a decent return. I think this is on the better end of the spectrum for Denny. I'll take the bull side. That reminds me, you've been quoting 12 events. Is that what you like that? You like that time frame? Is that like your go-to?
So I like it in this instance for Denny, and I just kind of kept that filter up there when we just talked about Poulter. I think it depends on the player and how much they've been playing. So for Denny, those 12 events is basically November until now. So the last 5 months, all events within this PGA Tour season, I think is a pretty good baseline. There's some fall events with weaker fields obviously in there. But for someone like Poulter, I'd have to see how far that goes back. Like if we're talking for some of these players, like going back into last summer, I think it's a little bit too far. But in this instance, for Denny, he's been playing a lot of golf. I like it as a good baseline.
Okay, fair enough. Yes, I sometimes go to 10 or 12, or I don't know. Just I like to pick your brain and see what's going on with it. Boy, how about this one? Jordan Spieth. $5.89 a share is the fair value we're going to use. That's 28th or better. And Joe, before you even start here, let's just look at this profile together. Let's see. That's his last 12. 9 losers, 3 winners, 33% on the wrong side of things, losing you 33% ROI. Boy, it's been a tough, and really the one week that was really, really good was Pebble, where, yeah, of course he was.
Of course he was. Yeah,
What
exactly.
What are we doing here?
It's been bad. I'm going to be a little contrarian and say bullish. Look, the price just seems off. We're talking I'm bullish on Denny McCarthy at 579. I feel like I got to be bullish on Jordan Spieth at 10 cents more. I know it's been bad. However, like the one point that I will make is his approach numbers have been pretty solid lately. I think 5 out of 6 of his last events he's gained. He's been struggling with the putter, which is an abnormality. We don't really have a ton of data last week from the Masters, but he obviously missed the cut there. Made a little bit of a charge at Valero there where I had him and didn't, it helped me sort of mitigate some losses there. I don't know. I think it's a place where I feel like could be a potential buy low spot for him. He can utilize a little bit of his around the green game, doesn't have to take a lot of drivers off the tee. Maybe it's a week he gets it right and gets a hot putter.
That's an interesting way to look at it, actually. The doesn't have to hit driver, can use the around the, I mean, that's not, it's honestly the best argument I've heard for Jordan Spieth. I'll take the bear side of it. I worry so much, Joe, that he can't putt. And when you lose,
that he can't putt, you just think it's gone.
Well,
the confidence is gone.
I mean, when you lose like 7 weeks in a row with the putter, I think you got to figure something out. And when that's your best attribute,
yeah, right.
I'm worried. So I don't know, man. I'll take the bear side of it. I'm quite concerned. But he is one of the few guys. I was showing this. He gets moved, like the sentiment on him comes and goes like you cannot even believe. $10, $9, $7, $8. Then you see him down in the doldrums. He was $475 at the Genesis. He was $576 at the Players. We're using what, $589 tonight? So that would be on the lower end of things. But man, he really gets some big waves of sentiment, both positive and negative.
No doubt. Yeah, he's a very volatile option.
Finally, Shane Lowry, $8.13 is the fair value we're going to use for Lowry tonight. That's 17th or better, Joe. Are you a bull or are you a bear?
I'm going to be bearish just because of that number. I don't quite think he gets there in terms of $8.13, but we will see. I know his popularity, second at the Honda, good finish last week at the Masters as well, a couple of gainers. So it looks like that's 4 consecutive events where he's gained. I love how you added in, is that bar in the middle? That's their IPO price, correct?
This line here.
Yes. Or where it says, where it says like where it says 590 last week.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Got it. Okay. Yep. So that's just triggering the IPO. Yeah. So 4 consecutive events where he's been positive, on a great run right now on a course that seems to fit his game and that he's had success in the past. I just think 17th is a lot to ask.
It definitely is, but I'm buying, baby. I'm bullish on Shane Lowry. I love the metrics. I love how much he's been playing. I love that the metrics are turning into results. And I think he's always been a good, like, short game player, but just recently, the last 6 months, he's turned into this almost, I don't want to say unworldly, but for him, so good in the ball striking categories that I think I got to be a bull on Lowry. So I'll take that side of things for him. We're using $8.13 a share. And we'll see how it goes.
Let's see how it goes. Love it.
Let me give away a little bit of money. First Jock Bucks goes to Scott. It's probably AHS Chargers Golf. congratulations, you're on the board. We'll have $20 over into your account in the next couple of business days. So bear with us. If you want to be like Scott and win $20 into the Jock Market, very, very simple. Just comment with your Jock Market handle. That's it. That's all you got to do. Joe, I'm about ready to unveil the big board, but contrast this market to the Masters. Obviously, it's not going to be as big. That's our Super Bowl, right? What are you expecting over the next 20 minutes or so?
Yeah, not quite as much volatility. Not like there's not the depth at the top, which we saw things were moving extremely quickly last week. I think a lot of those users that were in the market last week are back again, though. So we'll see. Not quite as many shares available this week, but they do have that ability to add them in. I think we see an electric sort of final 5 minutes like usual. There's just a lot of guys in plays. Like the Masters, we only had, 80 some guys in the field. You kind of can cross off a little bit of them at the very bottom. So it was really like maybe 50 names that everyone was interested in. I think we got a lot more than 15 names that are being favorited at this point at this event.
Well, I'm about to unveil the big board here, and I'll tell you what, we had Shane Lowry's fair value at 813, Joe.
Is he there?
He's already at 812.
Wow.
So obviously, very much excitement around the Irishman, who has returned you a profit in 4 straight cash markets. The only golfer more expensive right now, Colin Morikawa. And the fact that he's out there this early, you look at the pre-rank and Justin Thomas is there. Patrick Cantlay is there. Wasn't Morikawa the one that knocked off Rahm the other week?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Morikawa is going to be the most expensive golfer tonight, right?
Yep. I think so. I think it's a pretty safe bet. I think Justin Thomas gets close to him. I think Cam Smith might make a little run above Lowry just based on his sort of recent form. You worry that maybe there's a little hangover and letdown after a potentially disappointing Sunday at Augusta National, but all players in really good form. And then you got DJ, who I'm not totally buying the narrative that he's just here for the RBC brand. I think he shows up here every year with the intention to win, and he's playing much better. I think his last 3 starts. So a lot of good names at the top. There's a good middle range. This is just a fun tournament and a fun golf course that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, slow movement on JT and Patrick Cantlay and Dustin Johnson and Cam Smith. They're all still at $1, but that's obviously going to come up in the next 15 minutes or so. Matt Fitzpatrick, 737. That might be, this is kind of top end Matt Fitzpatrick. I mean, his most expensive, he's kind of lived in the mid to upper 8s, Joe, but he has described his love for this course and this event, and one that does not necessarily require a bunch of distance, you'd think would be good for him.
I think it's going to be great for him. I bet Matt Fitzpatrick this week. I don't normally do that. He's not normally one of my guys, but he's just on a really good run now. I kind of have this, I think maybe it's like the Scheffler effect where I have this belief in guys who haven't broke through that like if they can get that one win, they can potentially go on a run. Like I kind of feel that way about Zalatoris and Fitzpatrick right now. If he can break through at an event like this, like I'm not saying he's going to snowball it into 4 wins in a month and a half, but it could snowball into much better results for him and kind of break the door down and see what happens because he's a good player in great form. Everything seems to be clicking. He's picked up a little distance off the tee. The irons are hot. The putter is always good. And like you mentioned, it's his favorite tour stop on tour. I believe his driver head cover is the Lighthouse at Harbortown Links. That he has on his bag. So good vibes for Matt Fitzpatrick, good form. I'm going to be monitoring his price pretty closely.
Right behind, $6.67, Russell Henley, $6.55, Corey Connor, $6.30, Daniel Berger. Those are the $6 golfers. What do you like out of those 3? Who would you, if you could only target one, who would it be?
Probably Berger for me. It was kind of a weird odds price on him this week where I kind of had him penciled in around like 22-1. So was shocked to see not as much love for him as I predicted. He caught a horrible break at the Masters, which cost him a couple of strokes, or he would have finished a little better there. Great finish at the Honda. I think the injury at this point is well behind him. Extremely accurate off the tee, so should be able to find himself in plenty of fairways with approach shots around 150 to 175 yards. kind of been his wheelhouse. Can he get a hot enough putter to win? We will see, but I think there's a good bit of upside there for Berger.
We should have probably talked about Webb Simpson in bullish or bearish because this is a Webb stop. It's a Webb stop, but Webb hasn't been all that good this year, right? And we know he was dealing with the injury stuff, and now he's playing more often, but the results really aren't up to Webb standards. So what kind of wins? Course history or recent form?
For me, it's typically recent form, but Webb's one of those weird guys where you kind of, like you mentioned, it's a Webb stop, and he's always had these sort of courses. I'm trying to look through his data to see like other Webb stops. So RSM, I think, is one. He finished 8th there. What did he do at Sony? I think is usually one. That was a 61st, so that was a little bit of a wet down. Wyndham is one where he showed up to basically in no form and finished 7th and still returned you 27% ROI, and he went for $10 plus in that event. So yeah, he's got his familiar stops. He's been there. You have it. He's been net positive for you.
There's one I'm missing that I'm not thinking of. Sony, RSM, Wyndham, RBC, Quail Hollow. That's in his backyard. But there's still one other short. There's one. God, why can't? There's one more, isn't there? Oh, I was gonna say Phoenix because he's won that. I was gonna say Waste Management. So those are here's say again.
I say kind of a mixed bag there.
Yeah, kind of a mixed bag. He's returned you a profit in what is that? 4 out of 8 half the time. Yeah, like a perfect little mixed bag. Adam Hadwin, Alex Noren, Mav McNeely. Those are 3 popular guys this week, right?
Of course, yes.
And for good reason, or do you disagree?
I think all for good reason. I like Noren and probably Hadwin the best, but I see why a lot of people will definitely gravitate toward McNeely. I think they all play these kind of courses well. I like Hadwin just because I loved how I think he shot the round of the tournament at the Players and then really backed that up at the Valspar with a great performance and then backed it up again at the Valero. So we didn't see him last week. Kind of had the week off, but you see 3 consecutive massive returns in terms of ROI there. Also had a nice return at Pebble Beach, which I think is a good comp in terms of shorter courses, smallish greens. Just think he's in good form. I love how I kind of like how he's a bit of a streaky putter. I wouldn't call him a great putter. He just gets really hot and can shoot one really low round. And that's also a good thing to sort of pay attention to in terms of live trading because he seems to have like a 63 or a 64 like once every tournament.
Yeah. I hope he's got a couple of them this week. That would help me in a big way. Let's just go sub $4 here, Joe. I'm just going to open this up to you. When you look at these just plethora of names, who stands out to you for this week around Harbor Town?
Let's see. I like Kokrak. I had a lot of shares of Kokrak there. I think he probably gets above it. I'm just kind of trying to sort of scan through these particular names. Where's Kevin Kisner at? Is he down? He's at 425. I do feel like Kisner's there. JJ Spawn had a great week last week. He's just playing good. So it's one of those obvious ones where it's like, okay, just play the guys who are playing really well, who are flushing the ball, who are striking it really good right now. He's been on, obviously, a pretty solid run there. And Matt Neesmith is another one. I think he had a really solid finish at Valspar, where he went off in the final group, ended up finishing 3rd at that event. Had a nice one before that as well. And this is another one kind of a la Matt Fitzpatrick, where he's on the record as this is his favorite stop on tour. Very meaningful to him. He proposed to his wife on the 18th green. Good vibes for Neesmith. I always love those kind of little narratives. So I think he's another one I'm going to look at closely. Anyone for you in this low range?
Anirban Lahiri, I thought was interesting. I think I'm just going to take a crack at trying to be early on him than late because what we're seeing from the swing weight improvements on the back of his irons, if that's real, what he did at, or I'll click him here, what he did at the Players Championship and what he did at Valero, like I'm happy to try to be early on him. I think that where was Joel Damon? He's currently at $4 a share. Joel Damon keeps it in play, which is going to be huge, and I think he's been playing a little bit better as of late. There's also guys like I want to look at Graham McDowell's results here because there are definitely I thought he'd been better than that. Played well at the Arnold Palmer, played well at the American Express. Has been a pretty big loser since then, but this is a place that he's had a good run at, but I'm not as excited about him. That's probably it for these
Yeah.
guys.
There's a couple of this seeming I feel like this has been one of the sort of stickier course history spots previously. So you have like CT Pan is down there at $1 right now. Satoshi Kodaira, guys not really in great form, but have a previous win here. So maybe they can draw on a little bit of that confidence and course experience. Is Stu Sink in the field this week? I don't see
Oh,
him.
yeah, he's in the
He's
field.
in there. Okay. Yeah, maybe another good one there too.
We are by my clock at 8:46 p.m. Eastern time. So what's going to happen is in about 10 minutes, this thing's going to get real heated, and all the bids are going to start coming in, and then shares will be allocated just a few minutes after that. So make sure you get your bids in. If you haven't deposited yet, the code you're looking for is POWER, $50 deposit bonus. And if you put your Jock Market username in the chat, I'll give out a little bit more money here in just a few minutes. But before I do that, Joe, let me flip this around. Just look at the top 10. JT $1.25, Dustin Johnson $1.50, Cam Smith $1. That's not unusual, right? Sometimes we see late runs on these guys, but as you look through the top 10, who's the guy you're most excited about and who's the guy you're least excited about?
Okay, so the one that I'm probably most excited about because I think I might have a chance to get him at a good price is Cameron Smith. I feel like he might go a little bit overlooked, believe it or not, off of a great Masters. And I believe he was first round leader at this event last year. So good course history, a guy playing in great form. I listened to his press conference this week and just spoke a lot about all the offseason work he did, kind of paying off, and a hot putter. Probably most excited about him. Least excited, let's see, in the top 10 here. I probably would say Justin Thomas, to be honest with you. I think he's going to get outside the range that I'm willing to pay. I don't think this is the ideal setup for him. I still worry about the putter, and I worry a little bit about that a potential a little bit of a letdown week after we know that I think a lot of people picked him, including himself, thought he shaped up really well to perform at the Masters.
When you see a stat profile like this, so this is last 20 markets, 884 average IPO, 913 average payout. He's returning you 4%. I see this negatively, like, well, JT, one of the best players in the world, only returns you 4%, but I realize it's on a high IPO, and this is without a win, right? Like, shouldn't Justin Thomas be winning more frequently than once out of every 20? Is that too big of an ask? 5%?
No, I think he should be. And there was a point in time where he was winning at a clip that pretty much only him and Colin Morikawa were winning in terms of PGA Tour events. I believe I had him at one point last year as number one in terms of win rate over the last 5 years or so. So, yeah, he's definitely due. You can see that trend there illustrates it very perfectly that he's on an upward trend. At the same token, his IPO price is going up with it. So at some point, if he starts to get to $9, you expect it to level out a little bit.
All right, let me refresh the big board here. We are seeing a little bit of movement on JTs now over $4. We knew that was coming. No surprise there. Shane Lowry is already through our fair value. So safe to say everybody in the market right now was bullish on Shane Lowry because they have proven that with their dollars, and Colin Morikawa continues to lead out in front. I'm just trying to see if there's any surprises here. Tommy Fleetwood's been playing much better. $5.51 a share. He's now turned you a profit in four in a row, 5 out of 6. That's kind of exciting. DJ's lagging behind a little bit.
Yeah, the middle guys like DJ and Cam, they're starting to come up from what I see here. They've gotten over the $5 mark. The one that sticks out to me when I just reloaded this on this first page here is Jordan Spieth, still 209. Nobody's really a believer there, but the rest of these guys have all kind of leveled into the range. You expect them to sort of finish around, McCarthy, Kisner in the low 5s. These guys at the top will start to get closer to $8 as we finish higher. But starting to shape up nicely.
It is 8:50 p.m. Eastern time by my clock. Okay, so this is kind of a weird little phenomenon that we have with Joaquin Niemann and guys like Joaquin Niemann this week. I think a lot of us, myself included, have spent a lot of the week describing this field as top heavy and pointing out the fact that the winners have come from 20-1 or 200-1, which leaves not a lot of oxygen for Joaquin Niemann, who is like just the second tier of golfer in this field. It was not long ago he won at Riviera. It was not long ago he finished inside the top 25 at the Players. He played okay for a long time at the Masters before kind of fading a bit. I'd be 0% surprised if Joaquin Niemann won this thing.
Absolutely, yes. And just because we've seen long shots win and we've seen a couple favorites, it's not worthy to then knock these guys in the second tier like they can't win. Obviously, if guys 100-1 can win, then Joaquin Niemann can win. Sung Jae Im can win. Matthew Fitzpatrick can win. These guys that may not be the top 6 names in the field. Terrell Hatton's another one who's kind of interesting to me because he seems to be really up and down. Good course history here. But these are sort of tier B players that you may be able to catch a little discount on this week just because we haven't, just happenstance seen a 35 or 38-1 winner here recently.
Yeah, it is interesting. Here we go. We are seeing some movement here in the top 10, 8:51 p.m. Eastern time by my clock. So JT, Can't Lay, they're both up over or at $6 right now. Morikawa's already at $9. We haven't talked about Russell Henley. We haven't talked about Billy Horschel. We haven't talked about Sung Jae Im. Those are really the only 3 guys in the top 10 here, Joe, that we haven't really considered all that much. Do you have any significant feels on these?
I like Sung Jae. I didn't wasn't able to look at a lot of the strokes gained data from the Masters last week, but he took a month off basically before the Masters, which was kind of went under the radar and relatively quietly for Sung Jae Im. Hadn't played since the Players Championship before that. So I saw him play pretty nicely. I like his touch. I like his short game. I know that he lives in this sort of southeast region now. So he was home in Atlanta for a month there working before the Masters. This kind of fits that mold territorially. I think he could play well this week. The other guy that we really didn't talk about at all because I don't really have a take on him. So I'll ask you, Patrick Cantlay was like crushing Jock Market no matter what the price was early in the season, right? It was like pay $10 for Patrick Cantlay and he was automatically returning you a really solid profit. Seemed to be that way. And he's just struggling a little bit. Do you think it's overblown to the point where he could be value tonight? Or do you think he's just in a rut?
I think it's a bit overblown. If you remove the last 4 starts and one of them was match play, remove the last 4 starts, he's this guy, right? Where it's just like constant great results. He's got 3 top 7s here in 4 years. And his ball striking numbers were a lot better at the Masters. He continued to putt pretty poorly. So yes, I think I'm much more bullish on Patrick Cantlay than a lot of other people are, just because it's a big overreaction to 4 starts or 3.5 starts, depending on how you want to factor in the match play stuff.
Right. I just don't feel like it was very long ago that we were like, oh, you're paying $10.50 for Patrick Cantlay. Like that could be a good buy. And now it doesn't feel like he's going to get anywhere near $10 and no one's talking about him.
What a deal. Okay. How about this? How about we let you go do your thing? So It is 8:53 p.m. Eastern time, 8:54, just changed. So what we do now is we let Joe go do his thing. He bids up on all the golfers that he wants, and then we rendezvous back in a couple of minutes when this thing closed down and we see who he got. So Joe, good luck, my friend.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right. So I'll take you the rest of the way here. And here's how it's going to work. So in about 3.5 minutes or so, we're going to enter a 90-second window. In that 90-second window, the IPO phase can close at any time. That is for everyone's protection, randomizing it so we never know when it's going to end. That's good for everybody. So all of the bids are coming in essentially right now and in the next couple of minutes. So make sure you've got the golfers that you want on your favorites list. Make sure that you have your notifications on because everybody's going to be bidding and everyone's going to be trying to outbid you. Let me give you an update on the big board here. We have, there we go. Colin Morikawa, still indeed the most expensive golfer in tonight's Jock market. He's the 6th pre-ranked golfer. That's important because that's how we break ties here. So if there is a 3-way tie for second and Morikawa's pre-rank is better than the other 2, he gets the full share. The number 1 pre-ranked golfer tonight, Justin Thomas. He breaks ties with everyone. Shane Lowry right behind at 836. I mentioned it earlier. Our fair value coming into the night, 813. He's over that. very bullish sentiment on Shane Lowry. Similar on Matt Fitzpatrick. He is over his own fair value. He's now at 792. Corey Connors over his at 726, and Daniel Berger over his at $7. Cam Smith is the only other golfer over $7, but note he has not come close to his fair value yet tonight. 853 is Cam Smith's fair value. That's asking him to finish, I don't know, about 15th or better. That's what you're looking for Cam Smith, and you are getting a good deal if you think that he can finish 15th or better in this field tonight. JT is the number one pre-ranked golfer, $6.84, well below his fair value. I assume that's coming up. Patrick Cantlay, same thing before we get to Russell Henley. Let me flip this around and show you the top 10. The cheapest top 10 golfer that you can get right now, Billy Horschel, $6 a share. He's the 8th pre-ranked golfer. After that, Sung J M, $6.38. After that, Dustin Johnson. I got to give this a refresh. No way DJ's that cheap. $8.56. We got a couple minutes to go here. We'll see how it all shakes out together. Let's see if we can get there. We go. There's a little bit of movement on Justin Thomas. He's trying to make a run. 788. Patrick Cantlay riding his coattails. 786. Still seeing a bit of lag on the number 3 pre-ranked golfer, Dustin Johnson. 684. Made you money at the Masters. Made you money at the Players. That's about it in terms of good starts for him in the jock market as of late. But remember, got out of his group at the match play, right? Didn't he get out of his group, Joe?
Who, DJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, he went all the way. He ended up beating Brooks. So he went all the way to the consolation match.
Okay, that's right. Sorry. Thank you. So that is not included in the jock market. So he has also played better than that. Russell Henley, $6.75. Joaquin Niemann, $6.70. And Sung J M at $6.38. Let me get a refresh in here. We are probably very close being in that 90-second window. And here it comes. Justin Thomas now $8 a share. Patrick Cantlay has been basically 1 penny behind Justin Thomas for the last couple of minutes here. They are moving in tandem up the market. Here comes Dustin Johnson, $7.11. That's still $1.40 below his fair value. Similar with Cam Smith, $1.30 below his fair value. Daniel Berger, $1 over his. So the public saying, yeah, we see your fair value on Daniel Berger. We see it's 601. We can see that it's 27th or better. We want more. We're buying him at $7 a share. We are now certainly in that 90-second window. So this thing can close at any moment. Sometimes it ends early. Sometimes it ends late. Make sure you get your bids in. Justin Thomas is trying to charge. If Justin Thomas does not finish above Shane Lowry, have we screwed this one up? Maybe. We'll see. Shane Lowry still has a 30-cent per share lead on Justin Thomas. Colin Morikawa has not moved off of $9 a share in a few minutes. We'll see if that moves at all in the final moments here. Corey Connors, very popular golfer this week, $747. He's more expensive than DJ. He's more expensive than Neiman. Adam Hadwin making a little bit of a run here, $603. Billy Horschel did get a bump after I mentioned him, $615. Now the same price as Alex Noren. Who else do we have? Tom Hoagie. If you like the Pebble Beach crossover, Tom Hoagie won at Pebble Beach, returned you 342% ROI. He's currently $5.23 a share. I'm going to try to refresh one more time. I've got 859. We've got to be almost done here. Morikawa reigns supreme. So far, no one has touched him. $9, he hasn't moved. Shane Lowry at $836, he hasn't moved. Cam Smith has now leapfrogged both Justin Thomas and Patrick Cantlay. DJ is making a little bit of a move, $799. But there are only 5 golfers over $8 right now. I'm going to try to get one more refresh in here. It's got to be almost over.
Over.
All right, shut it down. Oh, I see it.
I was trying to get Patrick Cantlay right there because you talked. I was like, man, I overlooked him, and he was like in the $8 range. Missed out, but I think I got some good guys. We'll see how if I got what I think I did.
All right, IPO is closed. So those shares are now being allocated to the highest bidders. Let us know who you got. I'm going to let the big board refresh, get settled in. We'll go through that, and we'll get Joe's portfolio. But before I do, let me give away a little bit more money. I got some more money to give away here. This one goes out to David at Rip Shirt Dave. Rip Shirt Dave, congrats. You're on the board. $20 coming your way. I'll give out some more. If you want to drop your Jock Market username in the chat, that is how you get entered. And of course, the code that you're looking for at deposit is POWER. All right, Joe, let's talk about your portfolio for tonight.
Come on, load over here.
You have it yet? Let me see if my board's refreshed that either way.
Okay, yes, I do.
Got it? Okay.
Yep.
I'm ready when you are.
Cam Smith.
Okay.
822.
There was a late charge on Cam Smith. You were running that.
I was a part of that. Yes. 822 I feel like is a fair price for a guy in his form. Now, that's pretty much all I got at the top. Moving down $7, Sung J M. I bought some shares of Tom Hoagie when I heard you mention the Pebble Beach comp. I thought that was very solid. 533 on Hoagie. And then a couple of guys in the high $4 range that I was bearish on. Or I'm sorry. Yes, I was bullish on in the high $5 ranges. So I got Spieth, I got Denny. Rolling those dice on Jordan Spieth, sub $5 Jordan Spieth. We'll see. I don't know. I don't have really high expectations, but maybe he'll have a good week. And then my penny stocks this week would be Aaron Wise, Doc Redman, and Garrick Higo was only $2 a share. He was all the way down at the bottom, and I know that the form is a little bit spotty with him, but essentially when you pay $2 a share, as we know, you're paying $1 a share. If he can make a cut, it'll be a good week for him.
Yeah, there's not much downside,
right.
quite frankly. Oh, wow. Look at this. Okay, so here's the big board, and this must have happened. So Joe shares Cam Smith, Sung J M, Tom Hoagie, Jordan Spieth, Denny McCarthy, Aaron Wise, Doc Redman, Garrick Higo. Let us know who you got in the chat. We'll take a look at those in just 1 second, but he did it. JT, in the final moments, passed Morikawa. Morikawa did not move off of $9 for the last 5 or 6 minutes. JT sniped him at the end, 901.
By a penny.
Yeah. A single penny. He got him. And then Shane Lowry at 836. That's got to be the all-time high, right?
Has to be. I can't believe that. I like Shane Lowry, guys, but above Cameron Smith, who's playing incredible, above Patrick Cantlay, above Dustin Johnson, I don't see it.
I tend to agree. All-time high on Shane Lowry, Cam Smith 822, Patrick Cantlay also 822. So these guys did make a little bit of a run here at the end. DJ at $8. Trying to see if anything. Daniel Berger well over his fair value. Daniel Berger, boy, I don't know, man. I see it both ways, right? I think he could break the slate, right? I would not be surprised by really any outcome from Berger this week.
Yeah, totally. Can go both ways. He's a little bit volatile. So, but yeah, I think the fair value was just probably a little bit off on him given his current form. Just seeing him on the list there around Connors and Fitz kind of feels right-ish to me, I guess.
There's Spieth at $499. That's the cheapest. Well, he was $475 at Genesis. But other than that, that's only the second time he's been in the $4 since, boy, that was like last year's Waste Management.
Yeah. And I know, Rick, that you can't just award dollars to a name, but just, Harmon, Siwoo, Hoagie, McNeil, these guys, Varner, these guys are all priced a good $1 above higher than Spieth. I know you probably shouldn't just look at things like that, but as a career, one of the best players sort of in this era, a guy who won last year, who seemingly is hitting the ball with his irons well right now, just lost his strength, lost his bread and butter. Maybe a spot for him to potentially get it back. Just feels like a good buy low spot potentially.
Spencer has Patrick Cantlay, JJ Spawn, Cam Young, Anirban Lahiri. I could get behind that.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I don't think it's the greatest setup for Cam Young, but he's such a talented player. Spawn's playing great. You mentioned Lahiri, and then Cantlay is a steal. I wish I would have gotten some of him at just above $8. I think he'll play well this week.
I think Young is the weak link here, but that if you offered me that portfolio right now, I'd take it. Cam Smith, Terrell Hatton, Corey Connors, Denny McCarthy, Matthew Neesmith for Frank. That's got some crossovers to your portfolio, Joe.
Yeah, I like Neesmith. I think I just must have overlooked him. I'm not sure what his final price was, but yeah, I like that. I like Hatton too. Connors, those seem like all very solid plays. Good luck, Frank.
Here we go. JG Funk says Smith, Cam Smith, Russell Henley, Alex Noren. I like that. Jason Kokrak. There's a fellow Jordan Spieth shareholder, and Lucas Glover for JG Funk.
Okay.
I'm just trying to see what else we got here. Very, very interesting. Okay. Let me give away a little bit more money. We'll do some housekeeping items and we'll get out of here. But I've got a little more cash to give away. If I can find the username and find the comments. It's for Eric. Viva Larrick. Congratulations. You're on the board. $20 coming your way. Joe, the one thing, because remember now we are in live trading right now, right? So you can make bids, you can make asks, you can do all the fun stuff. You can start shorting guys. The one thing to consider, I suppose, is you could see some kind of different weather conditions this week, right? If the wind starts to come in off the coast, you could see one day play a lot more difficult than another. Is that something you're going to be keeping an eye on as we get going?
Definitely. I haven't seen too much yet unless you have some late breaking info in terms of a significant wave advantage. But yeah, anytime you're dealing with coastal and tiny green surfaces in terms of area to be able to hit, if that wind picks up and you start getting 20-25 mile an hour winds, those greens get even smaller, and the section where you can land it on gets even smaller, which just puts a little bit more emphasis on other parts of your game. So if you pay attention to a player's strengths, you can definitely find some potential opportunity come later in the week or the weekend.
I should have asked you this, and I should have, I guess, reached out to the guys over at Jock Market. It's Zurich next week, which I assume there is not a cash market for.
Yeah, we will. We should talk to them. I didn't realize that either. That came up fast. I was so consumed in the Masters. You probably were too, and all the different content that we did. We'll see what's on tap for next week. We'll be sure to feed that information out to you guys and hopefully see you.
Yeah. Or if not, maybe we'll do something. I don't know. TBD, we will figure out what next Wednesday looks like. But I was just like, okay, next Wednesday we'll see you for the Zurich. Maybe not, because it's a team event. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if that works or how it works in the Jock Market with their software or something like that. So I guess we'll figure it out and we'll announce it. Anything else before we get out of here? Any final thoughts? Or are we ready to shut it down?
No, great to see you guys once again. Appreciate you all stopping in the chat. If you are new here your first time, there's the promo code POWER. Use that out. It helps them know that people have some eyeballs on this show and helps us out. Have a fun week. Good luck. Thanks, buddy.
Follow Joe on Twitter at TorPicks. You can follow me at RickRunGood. This has been your Jock Market Power Hour for this week's RBC Heritage. See you next time.